6, episode 15, Degenerates. But I feel like the episode should have been called Never Dies, or the episode should have been called No Mercy. And it's your boy Icon with a Netflix television review for you, going over the final episode of that Cobra Kai. And ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end. So, and even me, I don't even remember why I started watching Cobra Kai. I think like my brother mentioned it to me or something. Somebody had mentioned it to me, and I remember watching it, like just being home for a weekend or something and watching it. And then after I watched it, like I immediately fell in love with it. But I remember thinking to myself, like, this show shouldn't be this good. You know, like when you first hear about it, they're just like, oh, it's a show based on the Karate Kid, where Johnny, the guy that loses to the crane kick, like, you know, his life is in shambles and he tries to reopen the door. Like when you hear the premise of the show, you laugh and then you think it's going to be like a comedy or something. You don't think it's going to be like a serious action drama where you fall in love with characters and it's like, it has all this depth, you know, like, and it's like this whole, you don't think it's supposed to have storylines. Like, you don't look at Cobra Kai. It's not supposed, like, the show wasn't supposed to be this good, you know, but it ends up being good. Like, we all fell in love with it. They finished with 65 episodes, 10 episodes per season, but they got 15 for the last season. And for the final time, let's put up our dukes and go over a little Cobra Kai action. So, the episode starts with young Johnny, where he goes to his mother's grave, and well, actually it takes place like, you know, back in the day after his mom passed, and like, you know, his life is in shambles and everything's turning to shit. Like he's telling his mom, he's just like, you know, like, I remember when you were there for me when I fought in the karate tournaments. He's like, but now that I don't have you, my life has been spiraling and I don't know what I'm gonna do, and blah blah blah. Fast forward present day, he goes to his mother's grave again, and he's like, you know, like, I got a daughter now, I got a wife, I got family, I got, you know, things that I love, and it's like, I wish you were here and everything. So now he's with his wife, you know, the two of them are talking, and he's just trying to come to terms with the fight that he's going to have, because he has to fight Sensei Wolf to determine which dojo is the number one dojo on the planet. So as far as like the characters are concerned, we'll get to like each individual character, like we'll get to the epilogue later. So LaRusso's training with him, and, you know, because he's Johnny, he's just like, you know, like, no mercy, Cobra Kai, strike first, strike hard. But he's being trained by Daniel, who, you know, trained in Miyagi-Do. And you could tell that because of his advanced age, there are certain things about Johnny where, like, he's apprehensive, and Daniel can pick up on it. The two of them did a fighting montage where, like, you know, they went all over the city. The scene where they were jogging in the streets and all those kids showed up, it would have made more sense if in that scene it was all the Cobra Kai kids, like Kenny, like Devin, you know, Sarah, like everybody, like if the students were there jogging with him, that scene, because I was just like, who are these random children? like why would these kids just randomly follow these two old dudes? And I'm just like, there was like one black person in the entire crowd. So so they're training, you know, they're doing the stuff, whatever. You know, like Johnny even says to him, you know, like Johnny's like, I don't know if I can do it, but he said, like, don't focus on winning or losing. He said, like, you're not a loser, like, you have everything. He said, you're Johnny fucking Lawrence, you got all the confidence in the world, and no matter what happens, you have your family, and family's most important. So now we get to the fight, we get to the show, and the black dude, he retook over as the MC, and then he called out the Iron Dragons. The Iron Dragons come out along with Sensei Wolf, and then here comes Cobra Kai, and everybody came back. That random dark-skinned black dude with the cornrows, like, he was there. That one random, like, white girl with the pigtails was there, because throughout the entire series, there are certain characters that have been a part of the Cobra Kai dojo. They've always been there. They've always been in the training, but they never spoke. Like, they never actually did anything. They were just basically just like background characters, but they brought all the background characters back. Kenny was there. LaRusso's son was there. Like, Devin came back, you know, like Devin was there, you know, Tori was there, like Robbie was there. He had the Cobra Kai. Everybody was done. Even Daniel LaRusso and Chosen, they were wearing that Cobra Kai, the Cobra Kai, you know. And then LaRusso's hot wife, she was just like, I think I like Danny in black. So now, and it's like funny because the show ends with, like, the show started with Daniel LaRusso trying to destroy Cobra Kai, and then the show ends with him wearing a Cobra Kai gi, fighting and training on being the sensei for Cobra on behalf of Cobra Kai, which is hilarious. Before the fight started, when Johnny was in the locker room, Sensei Wolf came in to try to get in his head. And Johnny even said, he was just like, you think you're gonna get in my head, you son of a bitch. But he said, he was like, like, I got people that love me, I got family. He was like, yo, you can't get in my head. And he was like, you're right. He's like, I can't get into your head. He said you're half right. Like, you do have family, but what happens to that family after you lose? He said that this thing is being broadcast all over the world on a live studio audience. Millions and millions and millions and millions of people are watching, and everybody's gonna watch you get dropped like a bitch and embarrassed in front, like in front of a live studio audience. So he said that they're gonna tell you everything's gonna be okay, but they'll never actually let you live it down. He's like, the shame of this will be played throughout the course of time. And then he goes, then what's gonna happen when your daughter gets older? She's gonna grow up and know that her dad was a loser. And then that's when Johnny got mad and tried to hit him. And then Wolf was just like, you can't beat me, old man. He was like, it's over for you. It's only a matter of time. So now because of that, he got in his head. And then when the fight started, Johnny was like visibly shaken. The confidence wasn't there. And unfortunately for Sensei Wolf, he decided to play with his food. He was toying around with Johnny. He was doing illegal moves, kicking him in the back of the head, kicking him in the ribs, kicking him in the knee. He was cheating. He got 2 points on him. And Johnny, like, legitimately looked like he was gassed. Like, he looked like he was out of breath. Like, he could. I'm not talking about from an actor standpoint. Like, I'm not talking about, like, this is good acting where he looks like he's tired. The actual actor looked like he was exhausted. Like, he looked like he couldn't breathe. And LaRusso tried to talk to him, and then he was just like, there's nothing you could say, LaRusso. This guy's too good. He has too much power. Like, he's younger, he's faster, he's stronger. And then that's when LaRusso just like, look, he said, motherfucker, he said, whose dojo are you fighting for? And he was like, Cobra Kai. And then he was like, is there mercy in Cobra? And it's like, it's funny because now Daniel LaRusso has become Sensei Kreese. He's like, do we show mercy in Cobra Kai? He was like, do we fight to the end? He said, Cobra Kai is number one. He's like, you fight for Cobra Kai? He's like, there's no mercy, there's no pain in Cobra Kai. And then he was like, is there? And he was like, no, there isn't, Sensei. He was like, okay, so stop being a pussy, get your ass out there and give this guy the business. So then Johnny like woke up a little bit. He got like 2 points on him. He had to get 2 points on him. And then after that, that's when Sensei Wolf was like, okay, no more playing around. He was like, he's like, I will end this and embarrass you. And then LaRusso had told him in the timeout, he said, look, you're tired, understandably so. This guy's pissed. You got 2 points on him, 2 quick points on him. This guy's pissed. He's enraged. He's like really, really, really upset. Don't charge him. Let him come to you. Because earlier in the conversation, like earlier when they were doing their training, LaRusso said to him, the reason why I beat you back in 85 was because you were pissed and you charged into me and you ran right into the kick. He was like, I didn't have to go after you, you came to me. And that's the whole Cobra Kai philosophy, strike first, strike first. So it's like, if you're the opponent, you don't have to go in guns blazing because they're going to come to you. So he told him, he said, it's good that you got your confidence back, you got 2 points, and, you're a badass. But he said, but now you need to switch to Miyagi-Do, lay back, let him come to you so you can score the points on him. So then, Johnny got on the mat, and then while he was on the mat, he was looking at Wolf, and Wolf was like bouncing and doing all this hand, like, Ryu Street Fighter shit. And then that's when then Johnny started getting flashbacks of himself back in the day when he was Wolf and he was like supercharged. And then he was like, shit, Daniel was right. And then instead of pivoting his right foot forward, he pivoted back. And then that's when you saw LaRusso shake his head. He was like, yeah, let him come to you. So then Wolf charged at him. Johnny ducked him. He hit him with a sweep and like he knocked him on the floor. Both guys jumped up, and then when Wolf went charging at Johnny, Johnny basically spun out of the way and caught him with a back fist, knocked him on his ass, and then Johnny Lawrence got the 3 points, and he is le champion of the karate. Like, even his wife called him the world champion. And I'm like, well, it's not really him. It's more like the dojo. But the dojo's the world champion. World champion dojo Cobra Kai. So that Cobra Kai's back on top of the valley, the baddest name and the baddest dojo in all the valley. And they were celebrating with the trophy. He hugged his son, he hugged all the kids, like he hugged his wife and his daughter and everything. And then when they gave Cobra Kai the trophy, he called LaRusso over because he was like, obviously I got to share this with you because it's as much mine as it is yours. And then both of them held up the trophy together. And that was a nice shot of seeing Daniel and Johnny like both holding up the trophy, which was really cool. So let's say, but Cobra Kai's on top. Wolf walked out in disgrace. He even asked, he was like, where's Terry Silver? And they were like, we don't know. So I guess Kreese and Terry Silver really are dead. They really are dead. So, but nobody knows, like, even when the show went off the air, nobody knows what happened to Kreese and Terry Silver. Like, they're just like, poof. So they're just a memory. And then after that, now we get into, Johnny went back to his mother's grave and, he put the photo of his family and some flowers up on her grave. And now we get into the aftermath. We get into the epilogue of all the characters. Now that Cobra Kai is the number one fighting dojo on the planet, Johnny Lawrence has a lot more customers. He's getting a lot more money. He's getting paid. And because he was getting paid, he was able to buy his family a house. So, like the Lawrence family has a new house and everything. So that's cool. Daniel, he ended up opening, like keeping Miyagi-Do open because his wife said she was like, you're never going to stop being a sensei. And then they had a scene where Stingray came back. Stingray came back because he's working for Johnny Lawrence and Cobra Kai. He's still driving the car, but I don't know why he didn't give it back to Johnny. But Stingray's there. He's working for Cobra Kai. Johnny was talking to the new students, and it was cool because when although he was talking to the new students, he still had LaRusso's son, Devin, and Kenny in the front row. They didn't say anything, but it was nice to see the three of them because they were like the youngest out of the whole group, so they're gonna be like the next generation, like to take over, and they're all looking forward, like to the All Valley, which I feel like Kenny's gonna win. But Johnny being Johnny, he was just like, here, there's no mercy, like there's no pussies. He told one girl, get those stupid glasses off your face. He was like, if you want to train to be the best, but he changed things up because he said that although it's strike first, strike hard, show him no mercy, he said defense is also important too. It's good to have balance in your fighting. And he said that he can't teach defense because all he knows is offense. So some of you, he said, so not only are you guys going to learn how to fight Cobra Kai style, he said you're also going to learn Miyagi-Do. And then they showed a montage of Daniel teaching the Cobra Kai students in Miyagi-Do. Because remember, Miyagi-Do was free, like Daniel never charged for that. So basically now Johnny and Daniel are working together and they're both teaching the students both of their styles to make them the best students that they could be. So that was actually cool. So that's what happened to Daniel, basically. His daughter ended up going to Okinawa. They had a nice little goodbye for her. Everybody was crying. Miguel showed up because Miguel got into Stanford. So he got into Stanford. He's going to Stanford. He said that Stanford called him while he was fighting. So he got in, on his own merit, not because he was a karate champion. Miguel decided to get on the plane with Sam and spend like 2 weeks with her in Okinawa before he has to come back and go to Stanford. So their relationship is basically over. They got 2 weeks left, but they're going to go to Okinawa together. If we get a movie about their time in Okinawa together, that'll actually be pretty cool. Robbie and Tori, they both got branding contracts from a sports company, like a special sports company, where they basically going to pay them to travel the world and compete in karate tournaments, but they're also going to use them for branding. Like they're going to use them to brand like karate gear, karate gis, like pads, this, that, and the third. They're basically going to be like walking spokesmen. They're going to compete in tournaments. They offered that to Tori, but they also offered it to Robbie because they said that, we saw what happened out there. We understand that bones do heal. And because the two of them were making out at the Seikai Taikai and everybody saw it in front of a live studio audience, they want to basically advertise them as a karate power couple. So once Robbie's like leg is better, the two of them are going to travel together as like a karate power couple. Because she said the world wants to see you two compete together. So that's actually pretty cool for them. Robbie ended up getting the dream that his dad never got, which was actually pretty cool. And although he didn't get to be a run, and that's the thing is like Robbie never became a champion, but he's the one with like the $1 million contract, whereas like Miguel's on his way to college. But for them, I was actually happy for them, for the two of them. Like they're still together and they're still like traveling the world and everything. The Binary Bros, and the Hawk ended up forgetting about MIT. He transferred over to Dimitri's school, and the two of them are going to basically go to college together at the school they're going to Hawk school. Yeah, they're not going to MIT. Dimitri and Hawk they're going to the same school together. Dimitri ended up making up with his girlfriend, and the two of them, got it on during the entire championship fighting tournament. So that was nice. Like he made up with her, so the two of them are still together. I said the two of them are going to college together. Chosen ended up going to Japan to go be with Miss Kim. Like I said, she was training her students, and while she was training her students, he showed up with a bag. It's like he didn't show up with flowers or like a wedding ring. The motherfucker showed up with a bag, like I'm moving in, bitch. Like it's me and you for life, and she seemed happy about it. So like the two of them, and I'm happy for Chosen because all that blubbering he was doing. Oh, and then Sam got pearls from her grandmother that was given to her by Mr. Miyagi, and they said that those pearls belong to Mr. Miyagi's mother. He passed those pearls down to his wife, and then when his wife died during the war, a a soldier who killed his wife took the pearls, and Miyagi found the soldier, whooped his ass, and took the pearls back, which answered the question about the article about like, oh, Mr. Miyagi, like he's a wanted fugitive for beating up a police officer or whatever. So finally, like now Daniel can stop bitching about that. We're like, why didn't he tell me? He was trying to get his mama pearls back. So, and then that made Daniel feel better. We never got an answer to like him killing a man in the Sekai Taikai, but thank God in the moment Daniel didn't think about that, because he would have been blabbering on about, he's like, you didn't tell me you killed somebody. I'm like, Jesus Christ. So I'm happy that's over with. I think that's done with over. Nobody found Kreese and Terry Silver's body. They called Tori the Tooth Fairy for kicking out Zara's face. We didn't really get any closure with like the other random characters, but but basically we got closure for everybody that matter. So that was pretty much it. That was cool. And then when it ends and everybody goes off to like to their new lives and everything, we saw that there was a scene where I think like they were the writers or the producers of Cobra Kai. They were sitting in a diner talking about writing Cobra Kai. But when we were there, it was Lawrence and it was LaRusso. The two of them were having dinner together. They were talking about the All Valley that was coming up. And then LaRusso said, he said, I want my son to enter the All, because the thing is, although the two of them are training the same kids, and they're basically one dojo. They're an offensive dojo and a defensive dojo, but the two of them are working together. He said because of that, they're going to enter the Sekai Taikai under two different banners. LaRusso said, he was like, I want my son to compete under Cobra Kai because it'll be good for him to fight with a neutral sensei, like, I'm his daddy. So, and then Johnny was like, that's actually a good idea because the boy's coming into his own, and I'm pretty sure he wants to put some Cobra Kai into LaRusso's kid or whatever. But then he said the trade-off for that, he said I want Devin to fight under Miyagi-Do because she needs more defense. They didn't talk about Kenny because Kenny's the one that's going to win the goddamn thing, but that was kind of cool. Like they traded they traded like students back and forth because they're the same students. Like they're all Miyagi fan. No, well that was Eagle fan. They're all what we call Miyagi Kai. Is how we call it now, Miyagi Kai. So they're all Miyagi Kai at the end of the day. And then Johnny got up for a second to go to the bathroom, and then that's when Daniel had the moment where he picked up some chopsticks and he was reminiscing on some stuff that Mr. Miyagi told him, like back in the old Karate Kid, where they were trying to catch a fly with chopsticks, and then Miyagi couldn't catch it, and then Daniel caught the fly with the chopsticks, and then Miyagi was like, oh, that's beacon of luck. So it was nice to get one more shot of Mr. Miyagi before it was over. And then there was a fly in the restaurant, and for old time's sake, Daniel tried to use chopsticks to catch the fly, because Miyagi said a man who can catch fly with chopsticks can catch anything. And right before he caught the fly, Johnny came out of nowhere, swatted the fly. He was like, look, I got him. And he was like, no mercy, bitch. And then like Daniel shook his head, and then that was how the episode ended. That was how the series ended, with Cobra Kai standing tall. Johnny Lawrence, the redemption arc for him has come full circle, and thank you for tuning in. And like I said before, this is basically the Johnny Lawrence story. Like Cobra Kai was the Miguel Diaz, Johnny Lawrence story about their rise to power. And to see Johnny Lawrence, because I grew up in the 80s, so to see Johnny Lawrence come full circle and actually like bounce back from that whole crane kick shit, it was pretty impressive to see. I said I'm happy for him, and I look forward to maybe they're gonna do a Cobra Kai spin-off with some of these kids, because again, like Miguel and Sam, they're in Okinawa, like Robbie and Tori, like they're touring the world, so they could or they could do another show. They could do another show where it's about Kenny, Devin, and and LaRusso's kid. But there are some options. But I said we'll see. And whatever options they choose to do, I look forward to reviewing that with all of you. So like I said, so that was it, guys. So for the final time, as we say goodbye to Daniel-san, Miyagi-Do, the Lawrence gang, and the rest of the crew, take care. Keep it up, because Cobra Kai never dies, which means we'll be back, and we're out this bitch!